I didn't. But there were times when, you see, I might speak a different perspective, mine was too. Because in San Antonio, our SNCC chapter was Black Panther Party too. And so I was a member of the Black Panther Party. Not that new group, those guys are nuts. I'm talking about the original Black Panther Party. So we followed Stokely Carmichael's position of armed self-defense, or like the Deacons for Defense. We followed that philosophy as opposed to nonviolence. Now there were many times when we wanted to be nonviolent, we tried to be, and we succeeded sometimes, and sometimes we didn't. And I think that probably is universal. But most of us who believe strongly in King tried our best to do that. And it was hard to do that too, especially when you were being called the N-word, you were being called whatever words they came up with at the time. And let me tell you, it was blood curdling. The way they used the N-word then, blood curdling. They wouldn't just say, you know, nigga, sit down. They would say, nigga, nigga. That's what they would do. I mean, that's how horrible it was. They would scream it like it was bloody murder. And that's pretty much my take. I noticed that's
I was going to say, in my case, I don't think I felt much different from him, but I was like, 6 or 7 years older than he was. So the movement was very in its infancy. So I suppose it was just out of pure discipline. You know, this is what King and Farmer, all those people said. This is what we need to do. It's, I guess, like any other soldier, you discipline yourself to what your orders. And it was hard, but it still hurts.
One of the things, it's very difficult for anybody to have somebody spit in your face. Hot spit, whatever. That's nasty spit. You know, and go, and spit in your face. That's not easy. And if you can't imagine how it feels. For somebody to walk up and try to knock your head off. I mean, and they weren't tapping. They were, and what happened with me particularly, I was chosen as one of the persons to train. And so doing that helped me with my discipline. Because I read, about Gandhi, I read Dr. King, I read about Jesus Christ. And at first, for me, it was the philosophy, that I had to learn the philosophy and learn how to teach people to protect themselves and how you roll and all of that. It was that way. But then, as we began to demonstrate, we realized that no other method could have been successful. That was the only method that could have worked. First of all, we had no weapons. Who were we going to go to? Who was going to fight for us? They had all of the guns. You got to remember, this is the United States versus 6 freedom riders. The sheriff. You had no other recourse. Nobody was going to protect you. So you had to do something. You had to have a philosophy, which meant that you had to sacrifice. That's what was difficult, that you had to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. And that becomes difficult for you to do. But as we went on and we realized and saw, because we did see change in people. We did see it work. We did see people who were hating us and just, they couldn't stand us. But when there was a possibility of, communicating with them, interacting with them, we saw behaviors change. So in answer to your question, it was very difficult. We don't know how we did it ourselves. Because, when I think about it, I know I should have snapped about 47 people.
It only happened to me once where I fought, I tried to fight back. ended up with a hole in my head, knots all over my body, and I didn't try that again. But like the sister stated, if we had all resort to violence, then we wouldn't have been able to accomplish what we did. It would have been more of us dead than what is dead now. So I'm glad to know that we was able to do that during that time frame. Now, today, I don't know what I can do. Matter of fact, I know I couldn't do it. Some of the things that happened to me in the 60s can't happen to me now. I'm an old man, number one. And number two, I will try to retaliate some kind of way.
Let me just point out something. Back when people were disappearing,
Right.
back when there were plenty of hangings going on, they would actually, and you may have familiar with this, I don't know, when there were lynchings of black people, sometimes their bodies would be carved up and then sold as souvenirs. Photos would be taken of those bodies or the souvenirs and sold in drugstores for 15 cents and in barber shops.
Yes.
They would cut your finger off, the finger would be sold in a white barber shop to anybody that wanted to buy it. A skull went for $5, sometimes 3. Usually the highest price was $5. But they would literally cut parts of your body up after they hung you or while you were still alive and then sell them, take photos of them and sell them as postcards. And so this is the kind of threat.
And after you hear about that type of treatment, you wonder, do I want my finger taken off and sold? Do I want my arm taken off and sold? Then the next time someone slaps you, you're going to think about that. So all of these things is just jiggling up in your head, and you say no. You withstand whatever is being inflicted upon you.
Because it does.
It does.
No, it worked. It worked then, yeah.
It works.
Nick, let's see, let's go back there.